Cowboys aren't very good. Overrated once more. They have the lousiest coach in the NFL in Jay Garrett. They have the most arrogant owner in the NFL in Jerry Jones, who would rather control his coaches than win Super Bowls. Let me see. Let's get all the talent in the world and have a jackwagon coach the team instead of a real football coach. And that's how Dallas rolls. And then, of course, Tony Romo, who can be the greatest quarterback in the world and then throw 5 interceptions. And then you got Des Bryant, who's already a bust. He can't catch a cold. I mean, it's a sad day for myself and all the Dallas Cowboy fans. But you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm not going to be like these dumbass Bengal fans who rooted for the Bengals for 20 years when they couldn't win a game. No, I'm not that way. When my team sucks, I stop watching them. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to waste any time. The big debates tomorrow night, Wednesday night, I'm going to cover a lot of things in presidential politics as well as presidential history. I decided between now and the election, if you listen to my show, you'll become an expert in presidents. I'm going to share something with the ladies and gentlemen, the American jury every day. A couple more features that we're going to do is I'm going to fly through the Drudge Report on topics that we do not cover in our news report. I highlighted the main ones today. Pretty funny stuff. But until then, let's get right to it. Today in history, in 1950, Peanuts by Charles M. Schulz was first published. I think I told this story before, but back when I was a little boy at St. Cecilia Grade School and you could order books on the Scholastic book order form, I would buy every book that Charles Schulz wrote in Peanuts, and I loved reading Peanuts. I think that was the beginning of my versatility because at the same time I was reading every biography in the St. Cecilia School Library. Also, 1959, The Twilight Zone premiered. 1967, Thurgood Marshall was sworn in as the first black Supreme Court justice. How do you like that? And let me see, everything else in today in history is meaningless. Although I guess we could throw in 1947, Yogi Berra became the first to pinch hit a World Series homer. Today's famous birthdays, Kelly Ripa, 42. She's all bouncy and bubbly, but man, is she scary looking without her makeup. Lorraine Bracco, Tony Soprano's therapist, is 58. Sting from The Police is 61. Don McLean, American Pie, 67. And as an attorney, we must pay homage to the one and only Johnny Cochran. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. His birthday would have been today. Gandhi, his birthday would have been today. Also today is known as Fried Scallops Day. Go eat yourself some fried scallops. Name your car day. I've called my truck the Bulldog Mobile. Denise, do you have a car? Do you have a name for your car?
No, and where did that come
from? The Weathermobile?
It would be traffic, wouldn't it?
Do you have a logo?
No. Should I come up?
Of course you should have a logo.
Red.
I got a logo. I've got my logo on the side of my truck.
What am I going to put out there?
I'll have my people design a logo for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's red, so Bulldog would work on it.
Would you like to have a Bulldog logo painted on your car?
No, not painted on my car. You can put a bumper sticker back there or something.
Do you have a car payment?
Nope. Paid for.
All right. I was going.
Were you going to offer to pay a car? I mean,
what I was going to see if you were subject to a bribe, that if I made your car payment, would you put a Bulldog logo on your car?
Just one car payment?
It's also called National Custodial Workers Day. All you kids that are listening to me on your way to school this morning, you make sure that you tip your janitor today. World Farm Animals Day. You know, I don't understand that. Like, is a horse and a cow considered a world farm animal, or do they milk lions and that's a world animal? I don't know. Sad to report, 3 American troops were killed in a suicide bomb attack on Monday. A Taliban suicide bomber on a motorcycle filled with explosives ran his bike into a patrol of U.S. Afghan forces, killing 14 people, including 3 American troops. Also, we lost 39-year-old Riley Stevens of Tulare, Texas, from wounds sustained from enemy arms fire. You know, I watched Channel 5 News last night, and they were interviewing a local mother who lost their child. And, you know, they were talking about, hey, we need to remember these folks. And I am so proud that I am the only person in the media that over the last 4 or 5 years names the names of the men and women that we lose in Iraq and Afghanistan every single day. No other radio station, no other television station does it. And I'll be very candid with you, I don't understand why they don't. But I'm going to pat myself in the back. I have not forgotten you. And if you are a member of the military and you have someone serving or you have served or you're a veteran, the Bulldog salutes you, and the Bulldog is grateful to you. And it's not some phony BS stuff that I do. I don't wrap myself up in the American flag and say, look at me, look at me. I do it because I genuinely believe it, and it's important for us to do. So I'm proud to stand with those soldiers that have died and those that have not died in the service of our country. May God bless them. 3-day forecast. Today, thunder showers, partly cloudy and partly cloudy. And although we know there's going to be no news to report, let's see if Denise Johnson has traffic.
How do you know there's not going to be any news?
Because between 6 o'clock and 6:15, there's never anything. Why do you even come in at this time? Because there hasn't been one time in 2 weeks for you to report anything between 6 and 6:15.
I found plenty of traffic in Washington, D.C. for you. It just wasn't something you wanted. That's the problem. Now, I can't help it if it wasn't good enough, but you're right. There's not a whole lot going on out there. We do have some bridge work that's going to start this morning on the Big Mac Bridge in both directions. That's going to, you know, when they're doing the bridge inspections, which thank goodness they do those, that is going to be between 9 and 3. And they'll probably have lane closures. So that should end, though, before rush hour, but still causes problems for people during the day running back and forth. And you know what? I want to agree with you and thank all the people in the military. I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie Taking Chance?
Yes.
That movie changed how I looked at things for a long time. I started actually going to the military funerals around the tri-state and even going to Lunkin. So I have to agree with you there. And that was I hosted an event one time for the Yellow Ribbon Foundation, and that was the hardest thing ever, was to stand up there and read the names off of all of the soldiers that had passed. So I'm right there with you. Thanks to all the military. Now and
it's tough.
past. It is.
When we come back, we're going to have some pop culture for you. Until then, enjoy America. And we'll do this for the honor of the traffic report. Ventura Highway, where there's no traffic. On Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
Do you know what? Sometimes I see a preview of the movie and I get excited, and I'm excited about the preview to the movie Seven Psychopaths. Woody Harrelson, Christopher Walken. It looks like a riot. Christopher Walken, he's one of like the best all-time, I don't know, lead actors, character actors, whatever kind of actor you want to call him. Absolutely outstanding. Jake, you're a skateboarder, aren't you, kind of guy? Aren't you an X Games kind of guy?
I was when I was younger. I don't do it too much, but I still like it.
Have you ever hit a deer while skateboarding?
No.
Did you see where a guy was skateboarding and a deer hit him?
No, not at all.
Or he hit a deer?
Well, I was going to say, that would be about it. The deer would hit him.
Yeah. How's that happen?
I don't know, but it was captured on video, as everything is.
Of course.
Bonnie's .38 caliber. This is Bonnie Parker's .38 caliber detective special. Sold at an auction for $264,000. And Clyde's 1911 Colt 45 sold for $240,000. That's incredible. Seth MacFarlane, he is going to host the Academy Awards. He's Mr. Family Guy and also the producer of Ted. The Oscars are February 24th, 2013. Dexter. And you know what? This is a show on Showtime about a serial killer. And I watched it for a couple seasons, and I just decided, man, I can't watch this anymore. He's a serial killer that kills serial killers. I'm not kidding. That's what he does. record 3.4 million viewers during its Sunday night season premiere. Kristen Stewart, the Trampire, will meet up with Robert Pattinson October 28th through November 3rd to promote the new Twilight film. And I saw someplace like he was voted like the sexiest guy alive. I'm sorry, I don't get it. He looks way too metrosexual for the Bulldog's taste. Let me see, what else do we have here? Paris Hilton, her boyfriend, was arrested in Las Vegas after he became upset that Paris was making out with another girl, and he punched the girl's boyfriend in the face. Hey, Paris Hilton's boyfriend, is it her friend's boyfriend's fault that Paris Hilton was kissing her? No. You deserve to be arrested. The Simpsons are going to mock, they did mock Mitt Romney on Sunday's episode. McBain Capital, consider this a hostile takeover, was a billboard. Real funny. Let me see. Arnold Schwarzenegger's promoting his new book, and he was on Hannity last night. His book has sold out in bookstores in the Kennedy base of Hyannisport, Massachusetts. Every Kennedy bought one, and it sold out. Honey Boo Boo, the TLC show, the family's being paid $15,000 to $20,000 per episode. They apparently turned down a bigger, safer home. Yeah, right. Don't get that at all. Kelsey Grammer says he could care less if Piers Morgan banned him from CNN. I would think so. Who cares about Piers Morgan? Today, we have a lot of big news locally. Today, beginning at 8 a.m., if you live in Ohio, you are allowed to early vote. And, I have a theory about this. First of all, it's stupid to be voting this early. On the other hand, I do agree with those people that say, you know what, if you're voting this early, your mind's made up and you're not going to change your mind. Like me, it doesn't matter what happens between now and Election Day, I am not going to vote for Barack Obama. It is just not going to happen. So what the heck? I might as well vote if I wanted to. Also, Michelle Obama is in town today at the Duke Energy Center. She is going to speak at 2 p.m., and she's going to encourage communities to go vote as part of this early election. I want you all to know that this is my opinion of Michelle Obama. She is a mean woman. She's an angry woman. You heard her express that, hey, this is the first time I've ever been proud to be an American. She also runs the White House, and she runs the country. I remember seeing this interview, and nope, my radio producer could never find it, where they were talking about whether they're going to buy a puppy or not, and she said, we're going to buy a puppy. And Barack was, we're going to buy a puppy. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, it was clear that Barack Obama does not make the decisions. Valerie Jarrett, his chief of staff, is Michelle Obama's girl. Michelle Obama, of course, Barack Obama couldn't even stand up to her keeping Oprah around. This woman is a racist, angry black woman who's enjoying like heck all the money and she's flying around enjoying it. But I cannot stand her. And when I hear this phony speech, everybody said her speech was so good at the Democratic National Convention. Oh, bull, Barack, you all know who he is and what he is and how much he cares. And she ain't fooling me a lick. Not fooling me a lick. Michelle Obama running the country. And guess what? This little let's get moving, that's all a front, see, to say, hey, we're not going to make the mistake like Hillary did. We're going to act like I'm just over here doing this little let's get moving campaign. She's really calling the shots. She demands that Barack be home for dinner. She demands this. She demands this. And Barack Obama says, how high do you want me to jump, honey? Senate candidate Josh Mandel, the Ohio treasurer, was involved in an altercation with a tracker for a Democratic super PAC in an elevator. Mandel shouted and pushed the man's camera away before engaging in polite conversation. I want to tell you right now, there's something odd about Josh Mandel. Don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it. but there's something weird about the guy. And I don't know why, talking about Josh Mandel being weird, I thought we need a traffic report.
Well, I don't know.
So don't take any offense to that, Denise.
I don't know.
What do we have? Is there anything else going on in traffic?
Well, how about this? How I just came across this. 75 is closed in both directions, but it is in Dayton. So if anybody's heading up in that direction anytime soon, especially people that live in some of the northern counties.
Bulldog Nation has lots of fans in Dayton.
Well, and you know what? We're everywhere with the internet, so why not give a traffic report in Washington?
Is that all that you have?
Yeah, right now, as far as anything goes on the interstates.
Are people sitting there on their brakes yet?
You know what? They're not sitting on their brakes. I don't see.
Can you come up with another description besides sitting on the brakes?
I did. I changed.
You ought to write it down and you can have it available. You're allowed to use cheat sheets on radio.
Oh, okay.
Consider it your teleprompter.
Okay. Is that how you do it over there?
I don't do anything. Do you know that Ohio has a gambling problem? A study has revealed that 3% of Ohio adults are either at risk for gambling or already face them. Yeah, and guess what? Casinos are here. Glenn Campbell's going to play in Cincinnati. The music icon is going to have his farewell tour at the Taft Theater on November 11th at 7 p.m. That's pretty good. Also in local news, I have been retained to represent Pharaoh Wilson, who is the young man who is accused of shooting a Covington police officer in the foot. Just want to announce that little bit of news. The Bulldog is on the case. Sleep out the vote. A number of people camped outside Hamilton County Board of Elections last night to raise awareness for voting. I don't get that. Now for your listening pleasure, we have the Beatles, who need all of your loving this morning. When we return, we'll have more local news on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio, giving all my loving to you. Northern Kentucky cities are getting paramedics on staff. An agreement with a private company to provide paramedics to 6 Northern Kentucky fire departments has ended, and the departments, including Ludlow, are now providing their own paramedics. Kentucky tax amnesty. The state is hoping to gain $60 million by offering tax amnesty to delinquent taxpayers if they pay their taxes by November 30th. And the Covington police found a woman's naked body outside a home on West 21st Street last night. Her name was not released, and there's no word on whether foul play is suspected. Let me see. Naked woman's body outside in Covington on West 21st Street. Yeah, I'd say there might be some foul play involved.
I can't imagine.
Jeez, oh, Pete. And the Red Flower Chinese restaurant in Williamsburg, Kentucky, was closed after the son of the owner picked up a dead deer on I-75 and brought it into the restaurant. The owner said the meat was for his family, not the customers. Good golly.
Gosh.
Be careful of those Chinese restaurants out there that want to serve you deer. It might be roadkill. We come back, more Radio Superbity on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio,
Hey, Bulldog.
delivering Radio Superbity to you. It's a good thing that I read all the newspapers and watch all the news and check out everything online. The real, person behind the newsletter and blog is yours truly. But I admit that I have William kind of gather up, some routine information, like some of the sports scores and whatnot. Will somebody explain to me how William could miss something like Breast Cancer Awareness Month? Yes, William, it started yesterday. So I want everybody to be aware that this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You see a woman next to you, offer a free breast. That would be in totally bad taste.
Nobody should touch anybody.
I was reading the teleprompter. Somebody played a joke on me with the teleprompter. I can't believe they put that up there.
I did have somebody tell me.
How come there is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but not Prostate Cancer Month? Do we even get a month? I bet you there's not even a Prostate Cancer Day.
It's probably an hour.
Yeah, this is prostate cancer hour. And here's another thing. William finally came up with a philosophical, deep question that he sent yesterday as some of the background for me to review. Then he changed it. Okay? Now, okay, here's an example. Today, although today's not too bad, he has, if you could make a 30-second speech to the entire world, what would you say? That's not bad. But you know what his question was yesterday? I don't know why he changed this. Was this. Physicists say the universe is constantly expanding. What is it expanding into? Now, that's a good question.
That's deep.
Now, that is a good question. But he changed the question. Here's a great joke for you. The French president is sitting in his office when his telephone rings. Hello, Mr. Sarkozy. We're going to go with Sarkozy or Holland. Or we'll go with Holland. We'll be current. This is Francois, a heavily accented voice. This is Patty down at the Hall Pub in County Clare Island. I'm ringing to inform you that we are officially declaring war on you. Well, Patty, Holland replied, this is indeed important news. How big is your army? Right now, says Patty, after a moment's calculation, there's me, myself, my cousin Sean, my next-door neighbor Seamus, and the entire darts team from the pub. That makes 8. Holland paused and said, I must tell you, Patty, that I have 100,000 men in my army waiting to move at my command. Pagoi, said Patty, I'll have to ring you back. Sure enough, the next day, Patty called. Mr. Sarkozy, the war's still on. We have managed to get us some infantry equipment. And what equipment would that be, Patty? Well, we have 2 combines, a bulldozer, and Murphy's farm tractor. The French president amuses. I must tell you, Patty, that I have 6,000 tanks, 5,000 armored personnel carriers. I've increased my army to 150,000 since we last spoke. Saints preserve us, said Patty. I have to get back to you. Sure enough, Patty rings again the next day. Mr. Holland, the war's still on. We have managed to get ourselves airborne. We have modified Jackie McLaughlin's ultralight with a couple of shotguns in the cockpit. 4 boys from the Shamrock Bar have joined us as well. The French president was silent for a minute, cleared his throat. I must tell you, Patty, I have 100 bombers and 200 fighter planes. My military bases are surrounded by laser-guided surface-to-air missile sites, and since we last spoke, I have increased my army to 200,000. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, I will have to bring you back, said Patty. Sure enough, Patty called the next morning. Top of the morning, Mr. Holland. I'm sorry to inform you that we've had to call off the war. Really? I'm sorry to hear that, said Holland. Why the sudden change of heart? Well, we had a long chat over a few pints of Guinness, and we decided there's no way in hell we can feed 200,000 prisoners. Do you get it? The French army sucks, Denise.
I'm just laughing.
And a few Irish boys from the bar could whip them. You know somebody who I thought was funny is the Pink Panther.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were some funny movies.
Where do you get all your voices?
Inspector Clouseau.
There you go.
My name is Clouseau.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good voice.
I think I can do this. I can solve this crime. I think it's the Bulldog. The Bulldog is the guy that killed her. Shakespeare for the day, I'm prepared. Here is my knee-edge sword. Do you have any traffic in this segment?
You know what? Still just the same things. I mean, the reminder that if you're heading into Dayton, if you live up in that direction, northbound and southbound in Dayton, 3rd and Albany, right in that area is closed. And again, that is both directions of 75. That's a major thoroughfare. So if anybody's heading even north of that, they could run into some problems. And then just the road work that's going to happen today are actually bridge inspection stuff. So watch for lane closures both directions on 471. Right now, pretty quiet. So, are you going to complain? Because I'm not.
No. My Cowboys fell to the Bears 34-18. That's as who's the guy? I can't believe I had a brain infarction. Oh, that's all we're going to say about that. Who's that? God, I can't believe I can't think of his name. That's all I'm going to say about that. Reds fall to Cardinals 4-2. Indianapolis head coach Chuck Pagano has been diagnosed with a treatable form of leukemia. He's going to take a leave of absence, but he's going to be okay. John Elway endorsed Mitt Romney. Yeah, baby! By the way, the presidential debate is in Denver, Colorado. Michael Vick said his knee's okay, even though he's been limping. Sources report the NHL will begin canceling regular season games this week. Oh, well. Tigers have clinched the American League Central title. Nationals have clinched the National League East title. The Chicago Bulls have given their head coach Tom Thibodeau a 4-year contract extension. Ohio State football, Urban Meyer has sent a tape to the Big Ten office, which he believes Michigan player Jack Allen tried to gouge the eyes out of a Buckeye player. Uh-oh. That's pretty bad stuff. I got to say this, too. This is interesting. My wife did this to me the other day to make me look like a fool. If you take your right foot and you rotate it in clockwise condition and direction, just start rotating it like this. See, Jake? You rotate your right foot. And then if you take your hand and you try to do a 6, it immediately your foot starts going in the other direction.
The opposite? Do that again. Anybody that's out there can watch this
You do it in
online,
clockwise condition,
okay.
And then if you take your hand and try to do a 6 in the air, your foot automatically goes the other way. Is that not weird?
I couldn't do it.
It proves how the central nervous system isn't perfect. Isn't that weird? That's tied together.
If you're driving, do not attempt this.
I told her I was going to use that on radio.
It's tough.
There'd be wrecks caused. What have I chosen from our musical entertainment or musical listening pleasure now, Jake?
Bob Seger, You'll Accompany Me.
Oh, I love this. Bob Seger, One Day You'll Accompany Me. You know what? I've been giving Bill Spry a hard time. He needs to get some more music in this bank he's got on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
I've got some jack wagons and oracles. We still got to get our oracle bit lined up because Garrett Sablehouse is an incompetent producer. Then he goes out to L.A. for a wedding and leaves me. Spirit Airlines, this is the jack wagons, will begin charging passengers a $100 fee for each carry-on bag next month unless they pay $35 fee online beforehand. What a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
I tell you who else is a jack wagon. Tony Romo is a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
Jay Garrett is a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
Jerry Jones is a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
Des Bryant's a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
The Dallas Cowboys offensive line's a jack wagon.
You jack wagon.
I'm not going to give their defense any grief. Now, their defense is playing well. They just need an offense. John Webster, the 5-foot-town, 220-pound former college football player and New York gym teacher, says a 4'2", 6-year-old physically assaulted him, sending him to physical therapies for his injuries. John Webster, jackwagon.
You jack wagon.
There's a local karate guy that apparently would let some kid touch his willy whacker. He's a jackwagon.
You jack wagon.
I don't know his name, but he's worthy of a jackwagon. TSA agents in San Juan, Puerto Rico confiscated and deleted footage from a man's camera as he was filming his experience going through the TSA checkpoint. There's no law against filming the checkpoint. You're a jackwagon.
You jack wagon.
And the Cincinnati police officer who arrested my client, who refused to give him their ID. You don't have to give your ID. I'm going to sue that cop. He's a jackwagon.
You jack wagon.
And oracles, which we cannot give because we don't have the oracle yet. New York Jets owner Woody Johnson said he will always have to put the country first when asked he'd rather have the Jets win or Romney win. He says Romney. Good for him. The Dallas Cowboys did open up a Victoria's Secret pink store inside their stadium. I was going to give them a little oracle status to make up for my jackwagons. In history, do you know which president, the only president, Denise, to earn a Ph.D.?
No, I don't.
Woodrow Wilson earned a Ph.D., but by the way, he was a fuddy-duddy. He thought he was smarter than everybody else.
Well, maybe he was.
His thesis was 333 pages long about congressional government. Which president turned down an honorary degree from Oxford?
I don't know, but you can tell me.
That would be Millard Fillmore in 1853 was the chancellor of the University of Buffalo, and he turned down it. I have not the advantage of classical education, and no man should, in my judgment, accept a degree he cannot read. Do you know Millard Fillmore married his teacher?
Well, maybe she read.
That's a fact, Jack. And guess what, Sarah Farmer from Kentucky? Nobody prosecuted Millard Fillmore for marrying his teacher, and nobody prosecuted his teacher for marrying him, and he became president of the United States. Sarah Jones and Cody York could become president of the United States. All right. Which is the only president of the 20th century to not receive a college degree, Denise Johnson?
I have no idea.
You know, based on your answers to the questions, I was going to raise the question, do you have a college degree?
No, I don't.
It's all right. I'm not an intellectual elitist. Some of the smartest people I know don't have a college degree.
You know what? I went.
Didn't mean to pick on you there.
No, it's okay. You're not picking on me.
Harry Truman studied business law briefly at Kansas City Law School, but he never received a degree. But he didn't need a degree because he was smart enough to read Plutarch.
There you go.
Which president received the most honorary doctorates?
Are you asking me
They
again?
they named a vacuum cleaner after him.
Hoover.
Herbert Hoover received 50 honorary degrees. What an elitist he was. And this morning I've been listening to my book on tape about the presidents, and I already knew some of this stuff, but it's always fun to like get reorientated to it all. The very first president of the United States technically could be a guy named Peyton Randolph, who presided in 1774 in the First Continental Congress. People don't realize it was the Second Continental Congress that did the Declaration of Independence, where John Hancock. But Peyton Randolph, he died in 1775. He was from Virginia. And then the first president under the Articles of Confederation was John Hanson. However, from 1774 all the way to we elected Washington in 1789, there were 2-year terms of people that were president. Peyton Randolph, Hancock, a guy from South Carolina named Lawrence was, a guy named Middleton, a guy named Milfkin. That most of them were signers of the Declaration of Independence. Richard Henry Lee, who produced the resolution to declare independence. Peyton Randolph, the Randolphs were the first family of Virginia. They were kind of hoity-toity types. By the way, speaking of real-life movies, there's a famous trial where John Randolph and Patrick Henry teamed up and John Marshall and Patrick Henry teamed up to represent a Randolph who was accused of killing his baby or his wife. I forget the facts, and it is a fascinating story. There's so much real hit. There is no excuse to make a bad movie. Absolutely no excuse to make a bad movie. There's too many good movies out there. All right, let's have a little science for your brain. An octopus in South Africa was captured on underwater video untying and stealing a bait canister while fighting off a type of shark at the same time. The canisters were attached to chains. What's going to happen if octopuses in the world, we find out, are that smart? Are octopuses going to take over the world?
They could.
What kind of world would we live in if octopuses took over the world? Are you scared of octopuses?
Me?
Yes.
No, not at all.
I don't know why I keep saying the word octopus. Octomom? Octopus?
I'm not scared of the
Octopi.
octopus that lives under the sea. No, it's not.
You're not scared of the octopus?
I don't
Have you
know.
ever met an octopus you were scared of?
I haven't I haven't had a run-in with any. No.
How about you,
that
Jake?
Would be,
Only at the aquarium.
Only at the aquarium?
He's a pretty nice
I was
guy.
going to say, you're going to have
All
to
right.
be very careful how you answer that.
All right. A Japanese study has shown that looking at cute photos like those of babies and animals can help an individual focus and be able to improve performance on certain tasks that require being careful. What the heck's that all about? Looking at cute pictures make life, better? That's funny.
It makes you happy.
Make you happy?
Just like just like your granddaughter in the bucket, the 5-gallon bucket. It just puts a smile on your face when you think about it, doesn't it?
A smile.
It does. It makes you happy. Think about it.
All right, in health news, the worldwide psychiatric man. I'm going to do the last song there, Jake, that we have there. Doobie Brothers. The worldwide psychiatric man will add internet use disorder to the list of recognized mental illness and will identify children as being especially at risk. Isn't that special now? If you use the internet too much, now you can get more disability as a mental illness. Man, I'm addicted to internet addiction. Hey, I'm addicted to cigars. Is that a disability? I'm addicted to interns. It's called internitis. little humor there. Internitis. Hey, Denise, have you ever had an intern?
No, I haven't had
Have
an
you ever
intern.
dreamed about an intern?
No, I was an intern for a little while this summer.
You were? Who did you intern for?
You know, I actually interned for
Did your-
WNKU for a while.
Did your interner hit on you?
You really want me to get you?
Oh,
you
my
really
God.
want me to
Oh,
answer?
my God. Oh, my God.
Not at WNKU.
Oh, my God. No, we're not going to. Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I'm not. Well, yeah.
All right. Baby boomers face worse health crisis than their parents. Why? Because nobody's going to want to take care of them because everybody's tired of working. Depression in the workplace. A study of 7 European countries has revealed that 20% have been diagnosed with depression. You know what? There's no excuse to be depressed in Europe working because they get like a whole month off. They get holiday. Hi, I would like a holiday for a whole month. You know what? I'm going to take off a whole month. Well, not a whole month. I'm going to take off 2 weeks. I'm taking my whole family to Italy.
Well, that's cool. When is that?
I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be top secret.
Top secret. Well, that's okay.
Because my whole family is going to be gone. For 2 weeks, I'm taking them all to Italy. Even the grandkids. I'm going to show them some culture.
Well, the nice thing is you don't have to ask
I'm going to
them.
show them, I believe that my other lives, like Patton, that I was a gladiator. And I'm going to show them the Roman Colosseum where I once fought in another life. I was a badass gladiator. I fought with Spartacus.
There you go.
But I didn't get trapped. I got on the boat and left. That's how I'm still here today. All right, for your listening pleasure, the Doobie Brothers. Listen to the music. When we come back, more Radio Superbity. Unlike yesterday, when I was in a foul mood, I'm in a happy mood, and I am delivering superb radio. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
On Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
Let's get a traffic report now so it doesn't disrupt the rest of this segment.
So it doesn't disrupt
Doesn't
the rest
disrupt
of
the
the
rest of the
segment.
segment, so it doesn't interfere with whatever else I got to do.
Well, everybody else has to listen in. That way, maybe it won't.
Is
give everybody a chance
everybody
to
sitting on their
listen.
brakes yet?
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what. No, and I didn't say that. So 75 northbound and southbound in Dayton was closed. They've cleared that out of the way. We have a couple of accidents here in the tri-state. 74 eastbound. Now, that is right at the Coleraine exit, so right at exit 18. So watch for that if you're heading towards 75. Also, Wells at Glenway, that has some injuries, so you could watch for emergency vehicles there. That always takes a little while to clear up, so you could be slow there. And there's a broken down car causing a little bit of a problem on Ronald Reagan. Now that's heading eastbound, so if you're approaching 75, that could slow you down. So nobody's sitting on their brakes out there, and if you are, I guess they better get up. I've been doing a lot better about that this week. There you go.
Good for you. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, this ought to scare the hell out of you. A computer network of the White House Military Office for Nuclear Commands was breached by a cyber attack from China. The office manages strategic nuclear commands, intelligence, teleconferences, and the president's travel and communications schedule. You believe it? And what's amazing is we know China is doing this to us. You know what? We need to start calling a friend, an enemy is an enemy. That's simple. One official said the cyber breach was one of Beijing's most brazen cyber attacks against the United States and highlights a failure of the Obama administration to press China on its persistent cyber attacks. We're supposed to, have cordial relations with these guys while they do these type of things. Would not tolerate it for a moment. You know what? I have a hard time believing this doesn't go all the way back to the technology that good old Bill Clinton sold to China. I don't know what I was thinking, Bulldog. We needed money. That's a bottom line. We needed money. I mean, what the hell are you doing selling a communist country our Air Force technology? Ugh. And while they are building their first aircraft carriers, we're going to cut $1 trillion from our defense, as opposed to $1 trillion from social programs. I don't get it at all. The State Department said, to the best of their knowledge, U.S. journalist and former Marine Austin Tice is being held by the Syrian government. He's been missing since mid-August. Not good. Here's a funny story. The cameraman for Iranian President Ahmadinejad has defected to the U.S. seeking asylum. Hassan Gol Kanban was with the president when he traveled to New York to speak with the UN. You know what it was? He got in trouble on a camera angle. I told you that camera angle is wrong. One more time, I will cut off your head. He said, man, I'm out of here. Can you imagine being the cameraman for Ahmadinejad? You know what? Mike Zimmerman would then realize how cushy a job he has being my cameraman.
You're not as tough?
Hell no.
Oh, that's a good thing. 'Cause
American Airlines. 2 757 aircraft have returned to their initial airport since Saturday after a row of seats came loose from the floor. That's not good. That's not good. 3 Amtrak train cars were pushed off the track Monday when a big rig ran into the train, causing 20 people to sustain minor injuries, about 150. By the way, a car hit a bus full of kids down in Louisville, sending about 50 to the hospital. That's terrible. Cars hitting school buses. Not good. Now, here's a sad day. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of this guy because he is, dead. But I'm going to make fun of it a little bit. His family's not listening.
You hope.
A 70-year-old Oregon farmer went missing after he went out to feed the hogs Wednesday morning. When family members went to find him, they found his dentures in the hog pit and body parts around the enclosures, as the hogs had nearly eaten his entire body. Terry Garner was eaten by the hogs. See, I used to watch the HBO show Deadwood, and when they had a dead body or a drunk body they wanted to get rid of, they threw it in hogs. I didn't realize hogs ate humans.
You imagine walking out on that?
My God.
That was in that movie that was in the Chinatown area. They'd kill people and intentionally throw them into the hogs just to get rid of them. I remember watching that myself. Yeah.
There's 20,000 people in the U.S. that are on a no-fly list. 700 Americans are on the list deemed too risky for an airplane. How do you like that? Legal news. I got all kinds of legal news, including, again, I want to just tell everybody that I'm on the case. All high-profile criminal defendants in the tri-state are beginning to hire the Bulldog for obvious reasons. 60% of Americans don't know how many justices sit on the U.S. Supreme Court. Denise, how many justices sit on the Supreme Court?
I don't know.
Jake?
I'd embarrass myself. I don't know.
Mike? Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I would like to apologize that every member of my team got it wrong. Denise, no answer. Jake, no answer. The only one that I can find excusable is Jake. I know my son wouldn't know either, Jake. Mike Zimmerman, who's a Vietnam vet, said 12.
Oh, no.
He said 12. Sorry to embarrass you there, Mike. I still admire you. Although I still think you got a cushier job than working for Ahmadinejad. What's worse for your reputation, filing for divorce or filing for bankruptcy? 60 Minutes, 65% of them. 9! I figured everybody knew. 65%. Chuck Holbrook texted me 9, but I'm sure he looked it up on Google.
I was just going to say, I could have.
60. I'm just teasing, Chuck. I knew you knew. We talk about these things all the time when I couldn't say drunk because we drink Cokes. 65% Americans said bankruptcy was worse for their reputation than divorce. I would agree with that. Bulldog Nation member Don and Amy had said 9 too.
There you go.
Now for your listening pleasure, Cat Stevens. Hey, by the way, Bill Spry, you didn't have the Cat Stevens song that I wanted, Father and Son, so I got to go with another Saturday Night, and I ain't got nobody. Guess what, Gabby? Ha, ha, ha. You're getting replaced. Cameron's replacing you on Class X Radio.
He's in an awful way. I'm in an awful. Ooh, I'm in an awful way. He's in an awful.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio, delivering radio suburbity. You can only get this in the tri-state right here on Class X, which is we cover the news and we play great music chosen by yours truly. Now, this makes me feel a little better about America. When asked which document they would save from a fire, 50% said the Constitution, 40% said Declaration of Independence, 10% the Emancipation Proclamation, and less than 5% said Elvis's letter to Nixon. There's hope for America. We would save. But, of course, number one are the photos. When we come back, more Radio Superbity on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
What else do I have here on my little notes that I took last night? We're going to have some fun. Oh, great line, by the way. You know that Bin Laden's dead, Jim's alive, said our vice president. Well, how about this? Bin Laden's dead, and Al Qaeda's still alive and well. Thank you very much. How's that for a retort? But here's what we're going to do, Bulldog Nation. Now, I want everybody to do this at their homes. I don't want anybody drinking and driving, but we're going to play a game. During the debate tomorrow night, every time we hear a lie that comes out of Barack Obama's mouth, we take a drink of our favorite drink. A shot of vodka is what I'm going to be taking. Let's see how drunk we can get on Barack Obama's lies. Or are we in fear of intoxication to the levels that we could maybe die from intoxication? I got a fan sent me that idea, and I thought that was great. Every time he tells a lie, let's do it. I came up with another idea. Some original thought. Here's an original thought for you. You know all these defense cuts that the super committee, because they couldn't work things out, so that dumbasses said, "Oh, let's do this together. We'll make these mandatory cuts." How did Republicans ever agree to this? You know what? Barack Obama loved creating the budget crisis and the debt crisis, so he could then do what he'd love to do more than anything else: cut the hell out of the defense and act like, "Well, I had to do this." Perfect excuse. Little observation. Let me see. Penn State. I've been rooting. I don't know about you, but I have been rooting for Penn State football. Why? Because they had a big, fat, pedophile linebacker coach, defensive coach, doesn't mean their whole team and all their fans ought to be punished. I'll be candid with you. I think the way they've punished Penn State is wrong. And those players and those fans do not deserve to be punished as harshly as they've been punished due to Sandusky and his sick ass who's going to get pedophiled in prison. With that, let's go to a traffic report.
Well, you know what? We do have a couple of accidents out there. We've had the one eastbound 74 at Coleraine. There's another one southbound 75 just north of 275. So if you're heading towards that 275 ramp, it is off on the shoulder, but that always slows everything down. You are backed up all the way back to Union Center there. Anderson Ferry at Delhi, there's an accident. Sharondale at Creek Road. And also still dealing with the accident. They're trying to clean this up on Wells at Glenway. That was an accident with injuries. Northbound 71, 75, you're looking at 30 minutes from 275 on down to the bridge. And I was just looking at southbound 71, and it's slow from Fields Erdel on down to 275.
All right.
For a traffic report.
That's a great traffic report. I got all kinds of original ideas, but I'm going to play this song right now because it's one of my favorite. This is the live version of this song. And if you've ever been trapped in a relationship, Cameron's not trapped anymore, Gabby. He's free. But have you ever been trapped in a relationship like you couldn't be in or you shouldn't be in or whatever and you just couldn't help it? Well, here we go. This is Bruce Springsteen live version of Trapped on Class X Radio. God, I love that song, man. And I just went through the